Hello, welcome to a video where I'm going to be building my TBR for the month of July. As always, I'm going to start with my TBR jar, and this is a jar where I get recommendations from you, and every book that is recommended to me, I check it out. If I like the look of it and I've not read it before, then I'll pop it onto a bit of paper, turn it into a star and put it into this jar for a chance to be pulled out. This year I've been pulling out 2 stars every single month. So if you would like to recommend a book to me, you can do that by using the book recommendation form, a link to which is in the description box down below. Or you can just comment on any of my videos when you are so inspired. Just put a comment in the comments box and just let me know if there is a book or a series that you would like to recommend to me, and I'll pick them up from there, either from the comments or from the recommendation form. Now, since last time, there are 5 new recommendations that have been popped into the jar. So the first one was a book called Saint by Eva Simmons. That was recommended by Danielle Corrick. We also have Chilled and Thrilled by Cleo White, which was recommended by Doreen Archer. And then there were 3 books that were all recommended by Ms. Misery 1981, and they were No Escape by Julian West, Clouds and Daydreams by Elizabeth Knight, and Endless by Devyn Sinclair, and each of those is an Omegaverse romance, so I'll put those into the jar as well. So like I said, I always start off with 2 recommendations from this particular jar, so I'm going to give this a good shake, and what I always do is I tip some out into my lap and then pick at random 2 stars. So this month I'm going to pick out a blue star and a green star. So first of all then, I'm going to open this blue star and let's see what we've got. Okay, so the first one I've picked out is actually a mafia romance, and it's book 1 in the Byrne Brothers series by Jill Ramsower. That happens to be a book called Silent Vows, and I'll just hold that up there so you can see that that's definitely the one that I picked. This was actually recommended anonymously, so you can do that if you want to recommend a book to me but you don't want me to know who you are. Then you can fill in the book recommendation form down below and you don't have to leave your name or anything like that. Now, I read a book by Jill Ramsower for the very first time last month, and that was book 5 in a different series to this, and also coincidentally this is a book that I've just recently got from the Mystic book box, because that was one of the special editions that came last month. So I'm really pleased that I've pulled this one out of the jar and I'll be reading this one. So let's have a look to see what this one is actually about. So this one is 332 pages and it was first published on the 17th of October 2022. And it says for this one, Connor. They thought she was unsuitable as a bride because she was mute. I thought that made her perfect. Silent, invisible. I could pretend she didn't even exist. Naomi. I've been promised to the Irish. My father will kill me if I refuse, just like he killed my mother 6 months ago. His merciless ambition stole the light from my eyes and silenced me in the process. I haven't spoken a word since her death. That didn't stop Connor Reid from choosing me to be his bride. He threatens my composure and intoxicates my senses. He represents everything I hate in this world, yet summons my darkest cravings. I can't escape him. The worst part is I'm not sure I want to, because my life is in danger and Connor may be the only man who can save me. It says it's a mafia arranged marriage, a jealous possessive hero, a virgin bride, and it's got a HEA as well. So thank you very much for the recommendation, whoever recommended that, and I look forward to reading that next month. Okay then, so straight on then to the green star that I pulled from the jar. It's always a tricky part to actually get these open. And this is actually one of the new ones that I popped into the jar just this month. So this is Endless by Devyn Sinclair. This is a Wide Shoes Omegaverse romance and it was recommended by Miss Misery 1981. So you can see that sometimes a book that I've just popped in does end up being pulled out as well. So let's take a look to see what this one is about. Okay, so this is book 1 in the Clarity Coast Omegaverse series. It is 404 pages and it was first published on the 28th of February 2024. The blurb says, what do you do when your sister's getting married and your ex is the best man? Being dumped sucks. Being dumped after 4 years and getting kicked out of the house, that sucks more. Sadly, I can't avoid him forever, not when he's the best man in my sister's wedding, but like hell am I facing him alone. So how can a painfully single Omega get out of this mess? Not a clue, but I'll tell you what not to do. Ready? Don't hire a pack of male escorts to take you to the wedding. If you do, you can't sleep with them, no matter how incredible they smell or how well they treat you. Definitely don't let them take care of you, and don't let them show you pleasure you've never had before. And you absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, fall in love with them. They're not yours, because when everything is said and done, this is just pretend, right? So I do enjoy an Omegaverse. I also don't mind reading A Wide Shoes as well, and so I'll be looking forward to reading that. So thank you very much for that recommendation. Okay, so after I've selected from this main jar, I can now put that back. And instead I'm going to turn to my other jar, this smaller jar, which is my equivalent from 12 Recs from 12 Friends. So at the start of this year, I looked back at some of my favourite booktubers and looked at their favourite books for 2024, and then I picked one of their recommendations from their favourites that I hadn't read before but I really wanted to read, and so I popped that into this jar. And so I've got 12 for the year, so by the end of the year we'll have read them all. So I'm actually going to pull out a orange one today, and let's take a look to see what this one is. So this one is Shattered Obsession by Tina Spencer. This one is a dark hockey romance, and it was recommended by McKay from the channel Oh Hey It's McKay. So I'm just going to hold that one up now so you can see that that is the one that I poured from that jar. So I know that McKay really likes this book. She has talked about it on more than one occasion. I also happen to know that this one is actually a duet, and she has never read the second part of the duet but raves about this first one. So if I like it, then I'll obviously have 2 books to read. This one is 374 pages in length and was published in March last year, so the 14th of March 2024. So the blurb on this one says, he's a hockey god and her brother's best friend. She's starting over in New York City and helping clear his name. They're navigating a dangerous game, torn between loyalty, love, and a life-changing secret from the past. Zoe, everything in life is temporary and eventually everyone leaves. Everyone except for my older brother Aaron, who is a billionaire realtor residing in New York City. We haven't seen each other in a while, but that's about to change, thanks to my PR company relocating me to our New York City office, which means I'll be moving in with Aaron. And guess who lives in the same building? His best friend, Dominic Lewis, the captain of the New York Slashers pro hockey team and the guy who has had a grudge against me forever. To make matters worse, Dominic recently got himself into some trouble for being a notorious player, and I've been reluctantly assigned to help clear his name. But how do you pretend to date someone who can't even stand to be in the same room as you? Dominic, she is the sole object of all my pain and desire. I've spent years trying to let go of my obsession with my best friend's sister, especially after that night in Boston at a masquerade ball where a terrible secret was born. I pushed everything aside and focused on what truly matters, hockey. It was all going well until Zoe showed up out of the blue, throwing my life into complete disarray. The past and present are intertwining, but I need to forget the night she unknowingly revealed her darkest fantasies to me. So I'm really looking forward to reading that one, and I always like to read a dark hockey romance. Okay, so the last of the surprises then usually comes from these cards. So these are my TBR cards, and last month I had to read a billionaire romance, which I did, and so let's give these a shuffle and see exactly what we'll be picking up today. Okay, so the top one that has come up is to say read a book with an historical setting. So as you know, I don't read a lot of historical romances, but I do like to give them a go now and then. However, I do instantly have a book in mind for this one, which is definitely not cheating, and it's been on my TBR for a long time. In fact, I've got a physical copy of this book, so I'm going to go and fetch it and then show you exactly which one it is. That is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. I wanted to read this one for a really long time. It comes very highly recommended, and this particular copy that I've got here, this physical copy, was annotated for me by Jen from the Book Refuge. So really want to give this a try. So it's brilliant that this particular card came out this time. So this is kind of a pirate romance. Does have an historical setting, and the blurb on this one says, Bennett Sharp is on the run. Wanted for piracy, she fears neither God nor death nor man except Priest Farrell. The unfaithful, stormy-eyed libertine hunts her with a terrifying possessiveness. Nothing will stop him from coming for her. Not his unforgivable betrayal. Not when she's captured by the ice-cold pirate hunter, Lord Ashley Cutler. She must escape Ashley's prison and Priest's deceit, but can she walk away from their twisted desires? Two gorgeous captains stand on opposite sides of the law. When they collide in a battle to protect her, the lines blur between enemies and lovers. Passion heats, secrets unravel, and hearts entangle until they break. Can love prevail in the sea of ruin? So, like I say, absolutely delighted to be picking this one up, and can't wait to give it a go in the month of July. Okay, so there are all the surprises from my jars and from the cards as well. And so next up, I would normally have 2 books from the Immortals After Dark series, because I'm doing the Immortals After Dark read along with Amber from Amber's Reads Romance, and we have been reading 2 books a month since January. However, she gave us a little bit of a break because in the month of July she only had 1 book listed, but it turns out that that book is actually a compilation of 3 other stories that we've already read that contain the stories for the Roth brothers. And so since I've already read all of those, I don't actually have anything to read from the Immortals After Dark series for the month of July. So I did debate whether or not to at least pick up 1, so that I only had to read 1 then in August, but I decided I was going to give myself a little bit of a break and pick up a couple of other books instead, because I do have a couple of new releases that I really want to get to in the early part of July, and also a couple of arcs that I'm expecting early July as well. So let's start with the arc. So the first arc I'm expecting in July is Dance of Devils by Jagger Cole. This is part of the Maddest Dance series that he's been writing. I've been really enjoying it so far. Every book I've picked up from this series so far has been an arc, so I am highly expecting to be able to get this one as an arc as well through Valentine PR, and this will be book 4 in this particular series. Now this particular one is a dark Russian age gap romance. It's actually due out on the 31st of July, but if the arcs are released, they normally come out 2 weeks before the release date, or 1 to 2 weeks before the release date, so I should be reading this towards the back end of July. But so far the cover has not yet been revealed, at least at the time of me recording this video. They haven't released the book cover yet or the blurb for this particular title, so stay tuned to find out exactly what that book is about. But like I said, I've been really enjoying that particular series, so looking forward to picking this one up. So the next arc that I'm expecting is Captive Prize by Zoe Blake, because I am on her arc team this year. This one is actually due out on the 18th of July, but again, we normally get the book 1 to 2 weeks before release day, so I should get this early July. And this particular one is book 7 in the Ivanov crime family series, and I believe it's going to be the last one as well. So this one does have a blurb, and it says, "She stole what belongs to me. Now I'll take everything from her. A problem I need to fix, a war I need to win, a woman I can't afford to desire. Her fatal mistake, taking an Ivanov. My cousin is missing, his pregnant wife left for dead. The guilt is a noose around my neck, tightening with every second he's gone. I was never fully Ivanov, half Russian, half Cuban, never enough. But this time, I'll prove myself. I'll infiltrate lost infidels, find Pavel and kidnap the fierce mafia princess responsible. She fights me with every breath, clawing, cursing, daring me to shatter her completely. The real problem, I don't just want to break her, I want to possess her. Hate bleeds into hunger, revenge twists into obsession. Suddenly our war isn't about family loyalty, it's about dominance. She won't bow, I refuse to yield. One of us must fall, and I never lose." So really looking forward to it, because we've been building up in this series, especially over the last 4 books which have more recently been released, to a grand finale, and the last book did end on a cliffhanger, and so I'm really looking forward to finishing this series off and finding out more about Roman, who is our last Ivanov family member. Okay, so they are everything from my jars, the cards, and 2 arcs that I'm expecting to get next month. And I've also got 1 new release that I'll be definitely reading in the month of July, and this has been highly anticipated. I've been wanting to read this one for about a year, and that is due out on the 1st of July, and it's Beg For Me by J T Geissinger. So this is book 3 in the Morally Grey series, and The blurb says, it was supposed to be a fling, a beautiful mistake I'd made only once. Fate had other plans for us. Sophia. Carter McCord is everything I shouldn't want. 15 years younger, he's too cocky, too good looking, and a playboy notorious for leaving broken hearts and wreckage in his wake. To make matters worse, he's my competition. As an executive at my company's top rival, the young hotshot is strictly off limits both professionally and personally. I've got a career to protect and a teenage daughter to raise. The last thing I need is the kind of man who makes women beg. But Carter isn't interested in keeping it casual. The way he touches me, the way he needs me, is more than sex. It's obsession. Carter. I don't care that she's older. I don't care that she's a business rival. I don't care what my family thinks or what people will say or that her ex wants to see me dead. Sophia Bianco is everything I've ever wanted and I'm going to make her mine, even if she makes me beg for it. So in total then, that takes me to actually 7 confirmed reads for the month of July. And I think I'm actually going to keep it there. Normally I do anywhere between 8 and 10 for the month, but I've really enjoyed this month just reading what I want. While I've been on holiday, I've just kind of read whatever I've wanted and I found some really good books and really enjoyed the reading experience. And because also in the month of July, there's a couple of other books that I really want to read, but they're all coming out towards the end of the month. So I'm just going to give a couple of books a shout out. So the first one that I wanted to shout out is a book called Hunter's Moon by Poppy Asta that comes out on the 3rd of July. That is a monster romance between a werewolf and a human. I've actually already read this one as an ARC, so you'll see my review for this one in my June reading wrap up, but just wanted to flag it with you in case you are on the hunt for a kind of a shifter romance that comes out, like I said, on the 3rd of July. It's also a fairly shortish one, it's novella length. Then in addition to the 2 arcs that I've mentioned, I've actually got 2 books that I want to read that are coming out on the 31st of July. The first is Mountain Daddy by S.J. Tilley. This is the 2nd book in her new series, and I'll definitely be picking this one up as soon as it comes out, but as it's right at the end of July, I probably won't get to this one until August, so you'll probably see it on my August TBR. And then the other one that I'm really excited to read, can't wait till it comes out, is also due out on the 31st of July, which is Precious Hazard by Never Outage. This will be, I believe, book 11 in her Perfectly Imperfect series. So always hop straight onto these as soon as they're available. Absolutely love everything she's written so far, and we'll definitely be picking that up. But again, because it's the 31st of July, I'll probably get to that one in August, and therefore will probably appear on my August TBR. But since those books are also coming out in July and I had them listed as books I wanted to get to, I thought I would mention them here even though they're not officially part of my TBR for July. Okay then, so that is everything. I always love filming these videos. They're always so much fun to do, and as always I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me, and also a reminder that if you've got any books that you want to recommend to me and see them popped into the jar next month for a chance to be pulled out next time, then you can leave a comment in the comments box down below or fill in my book recommendation form. The link to that is in the description box down below as well. So all that's left for me to do then is thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Right, I just dropped one on the floor and had to go down and get that up. So we're going to end up in the bloopers. So this one is actually due out on the 30th. What? Oh. Then I won't be reading that. Hold, please hold, Paula.